Comet. You know, I just about made this entire Watts link without shooting any video, so I'm gonna jump into the middle of it. So I'm gonna link in the description a video that I'm following word for word, doing it his way. So let's just say this big piece of cardboard here, the bottom of the cardboard is ground level at ride height. So my frame rails are here, this far off the ground. Another piece of, okay, here. 35 centimeter, that's to the center of the differential. And I did all this in metric because, you know, I'd like to be different. 46 centimeters, that's from the ground to the bottom of the frame rail. 93 centimeter, that's the distance inside the frame rails to each other. 8 by 5.5 centimeters, that's the size. Oops, that's the 8 by 5.5, that's the size of my frame rails. 32 centimeter is the diameter of my differential back there. So this will be the propeller on the back. This is the center point and the holes. And so one of the things I did first is I have made, okay, so, you know, I bought this differential cover specifically so I could do a Watts link because it's got, what I'm going to use is mounting bolt bosses on it. So we pulled these off and I did some basic measurements on this to to cut out a plate that would go here. Basic measurements. 23 centimeters wide, 6 centimeters tall. And then I figured out where these holes need to be. And I ended my day with cutting this yesterday. So this is the plate, and these holes are absolutely flawless. I'll probably make them a touch bigger because I don't want this thing to warp when I weld it and then not fit at all. So anyways, yeah, so that's perfect. I've got to do this center hole for where the propeller is going to center. I'm going to cut this out and trace it onto my 1/4-inch plate stock I got here. Probably somewhere up here. But yeah, so I'll make my propeller. That'll go in the middle. I'll have to drill the 3 holes in the propeller. Actually, I got to make 2 of those, so I got to make 2 propellers, one for each side of the heim joint. So the heim joints go here. Let's see. So a heim joint here pointing this way, and a heim joint here pointing that way. And then I've got to make brackets that are going to come down from here, and this needs to be parallel with the ground to that heim joint. And so I'm going to measure from the ground to there, and that's going to be where I'm going to have to put it over here. And then this link will be much shorter. It'll go from here to just under the rail. So much simpler on this side. Both links need to be the same length. Both links need to be parallel to the ground when it's at ride height. And this needs to be slightly cocked that way, like 1/2 inch or so. It should not be straight up and down at ride height. According to the video. And like I said, go watch that video. I thought it was really great. It made everything nice and simple. It's like measure this, measure this, measure this, draw this, draw this. And it was super easy. Didn't have to buy a kit. This is better than any kit because it's custom to my car from the beginning. I just had to have a couple of things. I have to have 4 heim joints, the rod to go between the heim joints, and some 1/4-inch stock to make all the brackets out of. So anyways, oh, the pivot for the center. He suggested using poly bushings. Well, I bought this box of random bush. Well, they're not random at all. They're actually for a Ford Explorer 4x4. But anyways, I'm using them as random bushings. So 2 polys. This is actually longer than those, so I got to cut that down to that length. And this is wider than those are, so I'm going to cut this down probably right here where the lip is. So that I have something. Oh, and I'm going to cut a hole in the center of my propeller to this exact size. So this is going to slip inside both propellers, be heim joints width apart. So 1 heim joint width apart, which will be perfect. and it'll get welded to that, you know, just for, this will be the pivot. So this will be all lubed up, and this will be the center point of the propeller. So yeah, that's gonna work out really well. All right, there we go. This bolt has just enough room behind it that it's not bottomed out on the aluminum lid. If I can get a wrench behind it, I'll put a wrench behind it. Otherwise, I'll just tack the head so that it doesn't spin when I tighten the big nut on the end of it. This is not metric, it's 1/2 inch, because these big bolts were expensive. Like these two that I need for the Heim joints, they were $4 a piece, plus the nuts that were like $1 a piece. So egads. I already had these nuts that I'd picked up previously, so but yeah, I'm gonna have a piece that comes up and goes across here and comes back down, so that this is not single shear. It'll have support on both ends of the bolt. All right, before I can go cut this propeller out so that I can go make 2 of them, first I made sure it was wide enough for the thing I'm going to weld in the middle. It's barely wide enough, but it'll do. Hopefully I got just the right hole saw to cut that hole. We'll see. So what I need to do is measure the height of these. And my Sharpie is here. All right. So from the ground to the bottom propeller, looks like we got 25 centimeter. And to the top, 45 centimeters. Yeah, this is 20 centimeters between propeller heads. So 45 cm. So this one will be at 45. And this one will be down at 25 on this. So I'm going to have quite the extension coming off this frame rail. That one will have to be way beefier. This one not so much. Yeah, now I can just get a utility knife, cut this out, and then start transferring it to metal and grinding away. All right, so I've drawn around this already. So here's the first one. I only have to cut on one side of one side of it. So around that edge, and down this, and around that edge, and then the next one is right below it. So around that, I do have to come all the way up here, or I could just leave it and let it be a little bigger. I don't know. We'll see. But mostly I got to cut this, so I might just do that and then hit this on the grinder or something. I don't know. So, see how I'm feeling. I'm not going to record me cutting this. All right, here's my propeller. I got it clamped with a, probably sheet metal vice grip. But anyways, I got them lined up on their factory surface side, and roughly the same length. I didn't cut them exactly the same because I'm free forming it. Anyways, I need to drill a hole for the 16 or 17 millimeter bolt that's going to go through there, 5/8 bolt that's going to go through there. So I'm going to start with my 1/2 inch drill, and then I'm going to have to step up to my really large drills or unibit. But this is how I'm holding them together, so I get the holes in the same spot. Once I get this hole drilled, I'll put something in it, and I'll come to this side and drill this one, and I'll clamp it somewhere else. All right, it's cut. These 2 bolts going through there kept it all aligned, and they were just the right size for the table on my drill press. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of, drill press. They were the right size for the table on my drill press to keep this thing from spinning. And boy, howdy, did that take forever to cut with a hole saw. But man, my kingdom for a plasma cutter and a compressor that could run it. But it's bigger than the bushings, but it's not quite big enough for this. So that'll be interesting. Maybe I'll have to press that in. I don't know. Maybe I'll take my carbide bit and burr that out a little bit bigger, just enough to get this thing to go in there. But I hate to get all this crap over it, but these could almost work without anything. I don't quite think it's all that important to have anything in there, but I made it big enough that it's a little bit too big for these now. I don't want it to really have slop in the middle, because that'll probably tear these up real quick. And that is the nice thing about this, is that it's going to be smooth on the inside. Although it should probably be spinning on this. I don't know. We're gonna mock it all up and see what we get. This is my propellers. You could see that I hand ground this end on my bench grinder, which did not like removing that much metal. I tried to start it with the cutting it to near shape, but anyways, what I did was I traced around a washer on here so I could get this shape so it doesn't interfere with the heim joint too much. But you know, every corner is a little different than each other. But anyways, I'm putting primer on it. I'm gonna put some black paint on it, then we're just gonna call this one done and move on. Because after I have this on there, I can do the part that gets welded over the top of it to complete. This is the contraption I'm about to weld up. Just something to give it a little bit more, you know, room out here. You know, I'm thinking I should stick a washer in there so I got a little bit of extra clearance, but maybe not a whole washer. We'll see. But I'm gonna weld this up. Check this out, guys. Man, yeah, I can weld. It's just when I'm on my back under the car dealing with old sheet metal that I'm trying to attach 1/4 inch to, it doesn't work out so well. But anyways, did this with it all bolted together so that spacing's right, it's square. I made these a little bit smaller just so that give me that much more room for the propeller to turn before it hits something. I could always make them smaller if I don't think it'll be an issue. I got so much propeller and so little ride height change. So yeah, this did not warp. I already picked it up and put it on the rear end. It's still perfectly square to that, so it's good. And I'm gonna wait for it to cool down and then paint it up and we'll start assembling this thing. All I've got left to cut out are the mounts for the bars that go on each frame rail, and I've got to cut the bars to length and weld them onto the heim joints. But we're really close now. All right, I'm starting to assemble the center section. These are pretty tight in there. They're not super tight. They're not press in, but they're not going to wiggle around much. Maybe I don't know, a millimeter extra. 2 millimeters at most, but not more than that. Anyways, to put this together, I'm going to put some gloves on because I'm about to use some grease. Oh, backwards, okay. There we go. There we go. And this will be the grease. Came with the bushings. Oh, good old thick polyurethane grease. I want to get it down into the grooves inside this. I have this on? Okay, good. Yeah, see those grooves? We need to fill those with grease because it will continuously replenish itself. I don't want grease on the outside, and the bar is just slightly longer than this thing will be wide. You know, the tube, wherever I set it. Oh, it's under there. This is slightly longer than it needs to be. So, okay, there's one of them. And the other one. In theory, this red thing should bond to the propeller and spin on this shaft that should not spin. We'll see how that actually works out. All right. So this one needs to come through just a touch more. Okay. That one had a lot more in it. Okay. Okay, there's that. That's the propeller, mostly assembled. Now I was thinking that I could, in advance, put the heim joints in there, but if I got the bolts going through the heim joints, this thing's never going to fit inside the center, so I need to finish painting the center. Probably got another 15 minutes on that. And then I can put this inside the center, get it bolted into the center, put the heim joints in, and bolt it onto the rear end. All right, so stick the propeller through this. All right, and we'll just get this bolt up through here first. And we're in. There we go. goes on here is this one. Just 3/4 on the back and another on the front. I really should just get my impact gun. Oh well, we'll see if this is a pain, if it's too much of a pain. Yeah, I'm gonna get my impact gun. Fresh night locks are tight. Alright. This will be a lot easier. These are not staying apart right now as I don't have heim joints in there, so let's go ahead and do that. Boy, I don't have a whole lot of articulation here, do I? Hope that works. Yeah, well, we'll see. I can always notch things. So this comes up through here, pointing all the bolts this way so that they will clear the rear end. That's not a whole lot of articulation. You may see me having notched these pretty soon. I may go all the way out to here actually. And then they won't impact at all. I'll just have to get inside to get the nuts. Jeez, I don't like the idea of having to cut off my wonderful welding that I just did. But that's the way it works. You gotta, if it's not right, you gotta rework it. Okay, so I'm not gonna tighten these because I am leaning towards coming all the way out to the edge like I should have done. And then this won't impact it at all. Dang it. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to cut this off, cut that off, and then we'll do this side. And I'll cut that one off, cut that one off, and we'll do that side. I have a spare shaft I can put in there. So I might just do that. Alright, now it looks like crap. I had to do a notch here. I had to just narrow this one so that it would clear this one. Just so I could get these bolts installed because they're too tall to have one of these just completely go over it. I tried. So I had to cut out a notch, weld in a piece here. This one's already there. It doesn't look near as strong, but you see that? I have lots of room for this to swing now. That should be plenty. I hope. If not, the last resort would be to come straight off here and go straight across, which is probably what I should have done, but I thought that it would not work as well. I don't know. I'm no fabricator. Here we go. Get the other heim joint in. Bolt in. Oh, I turned it around since then. Oh well, that's fine. Okay, they still need paint and stuff, but whatever. And I can just unscrew these to do the welding. Oops. One of these is backwards. What time is it? Yeah, it's about quitting time. I need to clean things up. This is my frame rail notch for the high side. This is the passenger side. So this is my link bar. The total length of the link bar is actually going to be 45 centimeters for both of them. This rail is going to extend down quite a bit lower, so it's going to go all the way to the edge of the frame rails. So I've drawn it out. I cut the frame rail and I cut this first line down, so now I'm going to cut the second line down. Just using this piece of steel as a straight edge. There we go. And now I have to cut this circle because this is the loop part of the heim joint. All right, let's see what we can do. There you go. flip this back over. This one really won't be so cut. So now we need to transfer this to the 1/4-inch plate. 2 of these, 2 of these, and I'll probably do some gusseting between them. Luckily, I have not run out of plate yet. It's almost like I bought the right amount, just by chance, really. This actually ended up smaller than I expected. So, yeah, that'll work. Okay. Cut this way. Cut this way. My kingdom for a plasma cutter. Man, our Captain sells a nice one. I don't know if my tiny little air compressor could run it, but boy, howdy, is it better than grinding this sort of stuff. Cutting this circle is going to be, you know, not that great. Probably be back at the grinder. This line should have been straighter. There you go. And I can cut it just inside those edges. And yeah, that'll work. So I'm gonna need a second one. So after I cut this out, I'll figure out where I want to put it. Probably, actually, just like this. I'm just gonna trace it now. Here, come around. And we're going to cut it there. So, yeah. This one will cut off there. So, I'm going to almost cut both of these at the same time. If I cut it right on the line out there, that'll be perfect. So, things are cut out. This is my driver's side frame rail. I'm going to clean up the edges on the bench grinder, and then I will clamp them together and cut the hole for the heim joint. So, driver's side frame rail. They're not exactly the same, and I may have to trim some more, but pretty close. Anyways, and then the passenger side ones are still a little bit hot. That's not exactly right. This one is. Let's move this one up a little bit. Yeah. They're fine. Okay, cool. So, yeah, those are the two. Each heim joint from the center to where it gets welded onto is it's 6.5 centimeters. So between the two at both ends, that's a total of 13 centimeters. I take out the length of the bar, and so I need a 32 centimeter length bar. 32 centimeters is that much. So if I had to eyeball it, I'd say it's slightly more than a foot. Cool. I got my two 32 centimeter rods. I drilled them for fillet welds, just one on each side. I didn't want to make it too weak. And then I ground paint off around there, but even though it's gonna, you know, these have an excellent chamfer, so I just stick them in there and fill in that chamfer. And yeah, and then after I get the chamfer filled in, I can do the fillets, whatever you want to call them. I just have to make sure I do a standard thread and a reverse thread at opposite ends, or problems. So let me get the welder all set up and put my gear on. Let's cut this section off. Probably get off the cardboard. That'll help a lot. Okay, this is a standard thread. That's a reverse thread. Those will be the two for this bar. Alright guys, I'm gonna start popping this thing off. I don't know if it's glued on. Probably is. Oh, I see a paper gasket. It might not be glued on. With enough determination, you could probably hang the propeller from this, but you'd be welding to essentially sheet metal, and if it pulls hard enough, it'd bend it, and that would cause a leak, so that wouldn't be very good. Alrighty. There we go. Yeah, still got all the yellow and the paint and everything. This thing has not been used yet. Hasn't rolled its first. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pull this paper gasket off. Very nice. Yeah, it's spotless inside this thing. Very, very nice. It's one of those things that I upspent on, and I'm glad I did. So that other diff cover, it was meant to press on the back of these bolts, maybe to keep them from backing out, maybe just to give it some more rigidity, but I'm not using that feature. Oh, and that reminds me, I need to put some RTV in those so that they don't weep at all. So I'm gonna do that before I bolt it on here. These are some screwball, not metric size. Yeah, the threads are the same. These are much longer than the originals, but I guess they got more to go through. They came with washers for the head of everyone. They seem to have, and zip ties. They seem to also have O-rings. So that's different. Pull them out. No, these are lock washers. Okay. O-rings. How about lock washers? Well, hope they're not too long, because there is a limit to how deep these can go. Alright, so new paper gasket. Okay, the notch is good towards the bottom. There's a drain plug and a fill plug on this. I need to make sure the fill plug is installed at the top. So, getting the first couple of these started is going to be interesting. There's that one. Okay, we'll get a second one started, and I'll feel more comfortable about all this. Through the hole. There's the hole. Woo! Alright, there we go. So, I don't think I showed you, but the inside of this differential cover is curved exactly like the metal was. Or, you know, the stamped sheet metal was, so we don't have to worry. I think it was Gail Banks did a YouTube video about the importance of the shape of the inside of the diff cover. So, you know, if he's going to go through the effort to do that, you should take the advice from the graybeard experts, as they call them in the electronics industry. The graybeards have been around long enough to know the mistakes that the young players make. Anyways, let's see about zet some of these in. Okay, there's that one. Probably should get all of them started before I sink all of them all the way, or stuff's not going to line up properly. There we go. Everybody's in now. Go around the world. Ideally, I would use a torque wrench on these, but being that they've got lock washers, I don't think it's too big a deal. Okay, she's tight. That's where I need to clear it off so I can weld to it. See if I can do this without getting too much crap in my eyes. Alright. So, through one of these. Through the heim joint, and then through the other one, and then we gotta put the bolt on, the nut on. Yeah. Da-da-da-da. There we go. Definitely don't want it falling this way while I do this. Okay, and then there we go. That's going to be fun to weld. Some of this I can actually weld from above, so I'll probably go ahead and take advantage of that. Alrighty then. So I'm going to get my helmet on. Okay, since that's bolted so securely down there, it's holding this proper up here. Just yeah, that's square. So, I'm gonna try and tackle this. Okay. Call that a tack-a-tack-tack. Let's try to do the other one. Oh yeah, I like that. Let's see about doing the other side. I'll just wheel this out until it touches and then we'll adjust properly afterwards. Now, we want these to be perfectly square over there. The best way to do that is to adjust them until they're all the way out. No, maybe it's too long now. There we go. Yeah. Okay, that looks square off the rear end. And that's as far as I've adjusted my lock nuts to let me go. Okay. All right, I think that's square now. Yeah. Okay, well, it's relatively square off that. Cool. I will have to take half this adjustment out and put it over here once I'm done welding. But that's okay. All the way up, all the way against it. Okay. Ready? One tack down. And then I'll get my we go. Cool. They're both welded up now. And sweet, it's done. We did it. Watts link. Let me grab the jack. We can go up and down a couple of times and you'll be able to see the articulation going on. You should be in a great position to see me now. That's the front of the drive, the front of the axle in front of you. So we're going to go up a little bit to get it off these tire ramps. Okay. See how much farther we can go up. Right about there. Yeah, I've still got some stuff above to remove above the drive shaft. So let's just come on down. Come on, there we go. All right. Tires coming out of their holes. There's no springs or shocks. So we're entirely on the links. The Watts link and the 4-link. Parallel 4-link. So, here we go. Drive shaft looks really good right there. Yeah. So I don't know if it's on camera or if it's being blocked, but this used to be the bump stop for the old axle. I need to cut it off. At the very least, that's in the way. Yeah. So we'll go back up one more time and do this again. I'll do this one on fast forward so you can see it all happen at once. Perfect. Cool. Won't be long, we'll be rolling this thing out of the garage.